Hi guys, quick update here for YouTube. It's 8th of January 23. So, 2024 actually. It's a happy new year to everyone. So, we've been long Nvidia for quite some time here. I mean, just weekly options are up 5,000% the last couple of days. Those are weekly options, of course. And now the leaps are printing. I mean, ultimately, we're looking at Nvidia to become the world's most valuable company. And even if Apple gets to 4 trillion, which I think it might do, this can easily push on towards a 2,000. I think it's doing a Cisco 99, and in a bubble move, you're going to get great FOMO coming in. And interestingly, Cisco has never made a new high. It's been a dead stock really the last 25 years. But I mean, that is the fate for Nvidia. So the day Nvidia tops, the world's going to end. We thought it was just GTA 6 and Neo defeating Agent Smith. Well, it turns out it's Nvidia too. So this was the secret stock that we've been holding back from YouTube audience, and now it's confirming its rise. I think we're in a super cycle 5. The only way I can explain this, getting to 1200 and thus becoming the world's most valuable company in a bubble Cisco 99 Yahoo Finance repeat followed by a huge collapse, 99% correction, is that's a 1, that's a 2. 3-4. This is not the 3-4. This is the 3-4. So unbelievably, the crash of 22 on Nvidia was just a wave 4. It's the only way to explain it. And then you could read all of that as we're in the wave 5 of the wave 5, or better yet, that's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. So Nvidia is coming after Apple. It's coming after Apple. Simple as that. It's coming after Microsoft. Even if Apple gets to a $4 trillion market cap, which I think it will, there's nothing stopping Nvidia, because FOMO begets FOMO. This is the advantage of being in the group. Just this morning, one of my group members said, "Mate, you've called every major move last year," and technically I did. I mean, I don't want to really blow my own trumpet here, but there is advantage of being part of the group. For more independent learners, take the masterclass. Learn how to read the charts. We've got some feedback here. I don't need to make any of this up. That's all genuine. Everything's here. We discuss everything that you need to know in order to analyze, trade, and invest. Simple as that. None of this fundamental garbage, none of this meme coin garbage, stock to flow models. We're not interested in all the high IQ stuff. None of that makes you money. We're interested in what actually makes you money, okay? Drawing random lines saying Solano's really bearish as it goes from 4 towards 75, which we called. That's only 4 modules in this Robert Greene Sun Tzu Art of War masterclass, right? You have to know auction market theory. You have to know the patterns, the candlestick patterns. Options, obviously, the options on the futures bit, that's how to express your opinion. You don't have to do that. You can just buy the common stock like the big time investors do. Elliott wave, volume, everything's there, right? Is you have to know everything in order to determine what is the context, what are the probabilities. And right now, looking at Nvidia, anyone who understands volume, I mean, look at the big burst in volume here. We all recall the greatest altcoin call of all time, ascending triangle breakout on Verge, single biggest altcoin call of all time. 3,000% move in 2 days, I think it was. Maybe it was a week. Doesn't matter. Life-changing money in a very short period of time. Good old days on crypto. Reduced volume, ascending triangle breakout. Looks like a wave 4. Triangles can't be wave 2, of course. Unless, of course, it's an ABC 1, 2, 1, 2. Ultimately, though, it's still a double from here, right? Markets will always peak on a ridiculous headline. I think it's Nvidia. I've had a look at Tesla, Google, Amazon, even Meta. They don't look as good as Nvidia. Nvidia also has that narrative. Forget about the fundamentals, because price over earnings, this is ridiculous. We're at 90 here, at 1200. This might have a P over E eventually of like 300 something. But so did Cisco. There was a short period of time when Cisco was the world's most valuable company. FOMO begets FOMO until the music stops. It's a game of musical chairs. Right now, the music's still playing. There will be a day when the music stops on Nvidia and everyone legs it, but there are stock splits to take place. There's more FOMO to take place. Just ask yourself, for those who are involved in Nvidia, either group members or people on YouTube who can see through the subliminal messaging that is actually present in every single video and has been so since the first one. Very useful watching the end of the world video, by the way, the one from about 5 or 6 years ago, the one where there's no sound. Anyway, let's not go into that. But ask yourself, who do you know? Friends, family members, perhaps people at work, people who you know, Popsy Milkman. Who's talking about Nvidia? No one is. it's not hit that shoe polishing boy stage yet, has it? Right? And that was how we knew the 1929 bubble was going to end. I think it was JFK's either his dad, perhaps, or his granddad. I'm not sure who. He understood the market was close to a peak when the shoe polishing boy mentioned a stock that he was in, and as the story goes, the market topped about a couple of weeks after, or as we call them, normies. This hasn't hit the normie sort of line yet. I've not seen any headline on Nvidia. It's made a new high just today. It's a new high. It's in the RTH. Volume's going up. I think it's going all the way. I think it's coming after Apple. It's coming after every Apple and Microsoft shareholder. There's millions of money here, funds here, millions of funds trapped in money market funds, and they're just waiting to allocate that cash. Well, it looks as though they're allocating it to Nvidia, because no one wants to end the year with this becoming the world's most valuable company and they're not in it. So there can be a situation where actually there is no selling pressure because there's so much FOMO coming in, right? Because to get selling pressure now, you need an equal and opposite force for this to now come down. There's no evidence of that. I think it's going all the way. We've been long since effectively this head and shoulders shaved off a little bit here, as you would do, just in case it was a Wyckoff distribution. But look at how it's responded. Right, it's maintained a tight consolidation. So therefore, is that a 1-2-1-2 coming down? No, it can't be. And even if it was, it's been invalidated because 2 can't go into the 1, which means it has to be a 1-2-1-2 going up. Has to be this, because 2 can't cross into this 2, and this 2 can't cross into this 1. So even if you were reading that as bearish, it's been invalidated not once but twice. So everyone who's short basically has now got their stops run, understood that they're now on the wrong side of the trade, they're now going to FOMO in. So there can be situations where a stock just goes completely berserk. I think it's going to become the world's most valuable company. I've been saying that for over 6 months. So there's not really much to add here with Nvidia. This is going to go all the way, and it's taken over Apple. Now, with Apple, there is a chance it could become a $4 trillion market cap, because I'm not convinced it's topped yet. It's in this gigantic canopy pattern. This could still go to 250. So the race is on. Apple's at 3 trillion. Nvidia's at like 1.2. By the end, I mean, that was before today. So it's at 1.4. This is now going to go up, I think, to around 4. Let's say it gets to 4 trillion. So at some point, these two behemoths are going to collide. Now, does Apple become the world's most valuable company, then starts to fall? Let's say it hits 4, starts to fall back down to 3.5. Then Nvidia might take it over for a temporary period of time. The headline is obviously Nvidia, the world's most valuable company, and then it might crash. So I don't know how they're going to do it. So what I'm trying to say is, on paper, there could be a situation where Apple actually becomes the world's most valuable company ever at 4 trillion whatever. But as it starts to come down, bear in mind, not all of these stocks are topping at the same time. Like Alibaba topped years ago. So did PayPal. So did Tesla, Amazon. Right. So you have to understand the context here. So it could take over Apple as Apple is falling and Nvidia is rising, right? Or it could just be a straight battle all the way up, like 3 trillion, 3.5. I mean, that gets Nvidia closer to 1,500, even 2,000. I mean, I've extrapolated targets up to 2,000, right? So everything comes down to Apple here. I think the headline is coming though. I'm absolutely convinced that Nvidia is going to take over Apple. How it does it, I'm not sure. It could be Apple becomes the world's most valuable company. As it falls, Nvidia then takes over, right? So, but who cares? Who cares how it does, how it actually occurs? It doesn't really matter how it occurs, right? Because Cisco, for a day or two, was the world's most valuable company, and that's the headline. And then that's the day that it's all over, effectively, because that was the top. The day Cisco topped was the top of the NASDAQ, pretty much. Maybe give or take a couple of days or weeks, maybe even months, but it was very close to the bubble top. I mean, I recall the NASDAQ topping in March of 2000. So, and if it wasn't March 2000, if it wasn't on the exact day, it was very close, right? But on the daily, right? Let's just go on the daily here. I mean, it might have even been on the exact same day, in which case the day Nvidia tops is the day the world ends. So let's have a look here. Right, 27th of March. I mean, from what I recall, that was the day the Nasdaq was. I mean, it was definitely in March. Let's have a look. What day did the Nasdaq actually? Okay, well there you go then. Right, fine. Nasdaq actually peaked 17 days before, so pretty much you're there. You're pretty much there. The day Nvidia tops, assuming that I'm correct here, obviously, right? We have to assume that I'm right in this thesis, that it's taking over, it's copying Cisco 99. It actually formed the lower high in the Nasdaq. So the index topped 17 days before, and then Cisco, which we're saying Nvidia's copying, topped 17 days later. But that was basically the start of the gigantic crash. Now, interestingly, let's just bring up Apple, because Apple was still back then. This just shows to you what an unbelievable stock Apple is. I mean, take Nvidia out just for 1 second. I mean, Apple, unbelievable to have survived. Apple and Microsoft, unbelievable companies, the likes of which you'll never see again. So this is now Apple. When did Apple peak? Apple supposedly also peaked around about the same time. So it's a big battle there. Now, obviously, I don't have market cap there, right? So I don't have the exact date when Cisco became the world's most valuable company, but obviously it was somewhere around here, right? Somewhere around here it did. This is just showing the price of Cisco and the nominal price. I can't seem to get market cap. I'm sure there's a way on TradingView to get a market cap of Cisco and market cap of Apple. Then I could actually figure out what day, and in fact I might try and figure that out. I mean, it can't be that difficult, but I'm sure there might be another website for that. Perhaps if someone in my YouTube audience could figure out a formula. I don't think you can do it because the shares would have been added to and bought back and everything else, and the shares outstanding would have changed. So there has to be another website. What day does Cisco actually become the world's most valuable company? We'll have to go ahead and do that research. I mean, it was 23 years ago. But anyway, that's what I think is going on with Nvidia. And Apple, what an amazing stock, amazing company, and there's a battle going on here, and that's what I'm looking at right now, because the S&P is going to be flat year on year, so you really have to know what to be in. Anyway, let's just finish off with Nvidia then. So that's what we think is going on. We've been long in this for quite some time. I don't have anything more to add. I think it's going all the way. I think it's taken over Apple. How it does it, I'm not too sure. It could be the case that Apple gets to 4 trillion, then comes down, then Nvidia takes over. I mean, I've not even extrapolated, well, I have actually, for 4 trillion on Nvidia, gets you somewhere around 1600. So 2000 is really the extension in the wave 5, because you'd have to probably call that a 3 and the 4, then the 3 is here, then the 4, then the 5. But, these 5s can really go off on one. Yeah, in a real bubble move, the 5th wave can be very, very extended. In some cases, 1.6 times, 1.618, even 2.618, even 4.236 multiply the length of the 0 to 3. So in dramatically extended Fomo waves, like Cisco, like Bitcoin usually does, gold, silver definitely does it. This is going to take it over. And if Apple hangs around 3 trillion, doesn't really go towards the 4 trillion, I mean, I think it will have a good shout of doing that. I'm not convinced Apple's topped either. I mean, the day you call an Apple and Nvidia top is the day the world ends, which means they've not topped, because the world's not really ready to end just yet. I think we're still another couple of years away from that. But anyway, that's my take there, short and sweet. So that's my take on Nvidia. So well done to all those new Nvidia shareholders. And like I said, if you want to be part of the group, everything's there. And S&P, I'll do a separate S&P video later on, some point this week, next week, whenever. We'll get an S&P outlook here for the rest of the year. Like I said, we've already done the outlook with the group at the start of the year. We know exactly the game plan, week by week, month by month, what is going to happen between now and the US election and the end of the year. We have to know what pattern this S&P is going to fall. You have to break down the year into quarters followed by 6-week cycles, right? Otherwise, you're just guessing. We have to have an outlook and a plan for the rest of the year. But Nvidia specifically, almost regardless of the S&P, I say almost, right? Obviously, notwithstanding a gigantic crash on the S&P, which I don't forecast this year. I'm not convinced of that. That's the one thing I can definitely say in this video. I'm not expecting a Harry Dent, Harry Houdini, wet dream. We're going to have a 90% crash. That's not going to occur this year. No way. We're not quite ready for that crash. So we'll do an S&P outlook later on this month. If you want to join the group, everything's there. I think the group is great value for money. And obviously, we've got this mortgage amortization course, which we've mentioned too. I mean, that might be the best $30 that you're ever going to spend. If you're going for a remortgage, perhaps you're the first time buyer, you need to know how the spreadsheet works. We give you full access to this customizable web spreadsheet, which is very, very useful, right? The feedback has been very, very useful. It's going to be difficult to get a part 2 to this, but hopefully we get one there. And we discuss some of the strategies in order to pay this down. How do you pay this down? Is it just simple as making overpayments randomly? No. Nothing's ever that simple. But how do you negotiate the mortgage, first of all, right? 10-year yields, I mean, the 30-year fixed rate is going to go to about 6%, isn't it? So it's you got to know how to play that game there. So I'm just doing a bit of that, isn't it? I can't see rates hanging around here for too long though. So great time to buy the mortgage spreadsheet there. Might be quite useful. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. So that's the take with Nvidia. Nothing else to really say or do there. I think it's going all the way, and there's a battle occurring here, and I think Nvidia is coming for Apple like Booker T trying to find Hulk Hogan.